us a little bit about this site, where we are.
We're on a site in Aberdeenshire. A beautiful spring day. It's very difficult to believe that this site had -12 only a couple of weeks ago, but thank goodness we're coming into spring now. The frost is just coming out of the ground in these fields. So the site itself is actually quite a tricky one because the soils are very clay based on old red sandstone. They're very difficult to work, and this area has a reputation locally of being a real tricky place to make a living on because if you don't get in and work the soils when they're in the right conditions, you have major problems. And that's part of the reason why the state who used to own this land sold it to put it under trees, because farmers know it locally as a very difficult place to make a living.
That's how we came by it. It really wasn't working for farming then.
Not as far as we understand it. So talking to the local estate owner, it was definitely marginal land. And that's the thing that's surprising. As you drive around, it all looks very rich and productive, but conditions are tricky to say the least. And as far as we're concerned, it's very low in nutrients. It looks like it should be a very simple, straightforward process to come and plant trees, and then you just walk away. But it's never that.
So it must have been quite high input then to farming.
Yes, I mean, if say farmers are very good at what they do, by the time they plough it, harrow it, roll it, seed it, they come back and then they spray numerous chemicals, and then at the end they spray glyphosate, which has been a bit of a problem for us because spraying off the crop at the end, they've killed everything, whereas we would have liked to have had some biological activity in the soil, which would have helped us.
The previous owner said that it was a fairly rare year that we actually made a reasonable profit off of this ground.
Yeah, and I can understand it. And we've been learning the hard way why it is the case on this site. As I say, if you get a window of opportunity, you really have to jump on it. As you can see here, we've started this at the beginning of the week. We've been planting over in some grass over there, which is working out okay. But to come here, the site was just a bit too wet, and the planting machine went down the hill. We got to the bottom, we got stuck, so we had to go off and wait for a few days for it to dry out.
Yeah, you can really see the clay in that.
Yeah, so Dave, as we can see, I mean, that's not nice stuff to be working with as a farmer. You've got a very limited year if this starts to get wet, doesn't it? And for us, that's been really hard work as well.
It's great. I mean, it's fertile. It's got nutrition in it, but it's just the working characteristics that we do struggle with as the farmers have.
The trees will be very happy in this.
Oh, perfect. I mean, you can just look around. I mean, you see the young trees there, the leaders on those. I mean, they love it. And the shelter belts round about it, it'll grow trees. There's no doubt about that.
So what do we do here, Dave, in terms of ground prep to get the trees in the ground? What are our options?
Well, I mean, there's many options to prepare the ground for trees, but in this case we decided to go with a local contractor, Woodland. We've been planting trees on fields with his planting machines literally for decades. So it's a tried and tested technique and method to make it works. And it's very cost effective. So we went with that system. As you can see, the trees here are doing well.
Yeah, they're looking quite nice. I mean, gone in nice and straight and put on a good bit of growth in the first week while they were in.
Yeah. And when these were planted, it was very dry. It was very difficult conditions, but the trees have grown through it and have thrived. So
excellent.
Yeah, good result.
So tell us a bit more about the plant machine and what it's doing.
Well, it's a very essentially a very simple machine. You have two operators sitting on bays at the back, feeding trees into rotating arms, which are being fed into a plough furrow, which is then closed up by two wheels. It's very simple. There's a bit of an art to it, but it's high production, high output. 15 to 18,000 trees a day. So it's cost effective.
Ideal.
So these are Sitka spruce, vegetatively propagated. So they've come from families that have exhibited superior growth characteristics of, rates of growth, density, branching habit. These come from Mailer nurseries. So we're hopeful that the yield classes, the growth rates, are going to be quite a bit higher than the spruce that you see around about, which are growing perfectly well, but these should grow a lot faster and have better growth characteristics for timber production. So as you can see, but they do have a bit of a wiggly growth habit, which is characteristic of the juvenile trees. But they grow out and look much better and straighter later on.
Yeah, so that straightens up very, very quickly.
It does, yeah. A couple of years growth, and in fact, even after the first, if they get a good first season's growth, then they look fine. Not bad roots on them as well, which it was a bit of an issue with vegetatively propagated spruce trees, that the rooting wasn't great, but the tree breeding is really paying off now. So, and that's fair play. That's up to Mailer or down to Mailer.
Good quality trees.
Good quality trees, yeah. So get these planted and hopefully we'll have a good growing season.
So we moved to the south end of the site here, Dave, and obviously we've done something different here. What's been the method here?
Well, we've used a continuous acting mounder here, viral mounder, basically because the grass sward was so dense that the planting machine wouldn't have been able to plant through it. So mounding was a better option on this site. So we've got this area, we planted broadleaves and tubes, which is part of the riparian zone. Through time we'll have trees growing up here close to the water, and it's good environmentally. It introduces greater diversity into the environment for wildlife biodiversity. And we've done that all the way down the side of the burn. The burn is actually the eastern boundary of the property, so we've repeated that all the way down the burn in groups of broadleaves.